What's going on, you guys? Today we're going to be learning the song Choke by I Don't Know How But They Found Me. This song is totally a bop, and that guitar melody or lick or whatever you want to call it is just super cool in my opinion. I just dig the vibe of the entire track. So without any further ado, let's get into it. You are watching Logan's Lessons. Let's start with that intro lick. First, we have our middle finger on the 9th fret of our B string. From there, we will place our 3rd finger on the 10th fret of our B string. So the two notes together. And what I recommend you to do on that 10th fret is lay down your finger so that it's almost barring the B and the high E strings. We aren't worried about hitting the high E string, but this technique will make the following note much easier to play, and I'll explain in just a second. But I want to mention that this is not typically proper technique, and that in most circumstances, you're going to want to curl your fingers when playing a note. So the reason I had you position your fingers in that way is because the next note is the 10th fret of your G string. What I want you to do is take your finger and pop it up so that the tip of your finger pushes down on the 10th fret of your G. And you can see how that makes it easier. So far it should sound like this. So right after that, we'll reach our index finger over to the 7th fret of our G string, finishing off the first phrase. Those are the only 4 unique notes that we need to learn the entire intro. So the second time around, we make a minor change. We play the 10th fret of our B string twice before repeating the entire first phrase. It'll sound like this. Play it with me. Now the first 2 phrases together. So right there, we go back into the first phrase again. The whole thing being, and then the 4th phrase changes a wee bit and plays the 10th fret of your B string twice, and then does 9 to 10 on your B string 3 times in a row. So the 4th phrase will sound like this. Let's play the whole intro riff together. Again. Alright, so that is the intro. Right after that, we get into the verse, which we'll just be playing chords. But this chord progression is a long chord progression. It has 8 chords in it, so bear with me. The first chord we have is a D minor chord. You are going to play this chord by putting your middle finger on the 2nd fret of your G string. Then you shall place your ring finger under that on the 3rd fret of your B. And finally, your first finger on the 1st fret of your high E string. It should sound like this. The strumming pattern for the verse will be staccato, meaning quick and short, and we will be playing down strums. The D minor will have 8 down strums. Then we get to an F major chord. First, you will place your ring finger on the 3rd fret of your D string. Then your middle on the 2nd fret of your G. And finally, your first finger on the 1st fret of your B string. This is an F major chord. The F major chord will also get 8 strums. The next chord we have is a C major chord. A C major is really easy to move from the F because all you have to do is move your 3rd and your 2nd fingers up a string, keeping your first finger on the 1st fret of your B. Meaning that your 3rd finger will be on the 3rd fret of your A string, your middle finger will be on the 2nd fret of your D, and your first finger will be on the 1st fret of your B. The C chord also gets 8 down strums. So we have a D minor to F to C. Following that, we have a B flat chord. This chord is accomplished by putting our first finger on the 1st fret of our A string. Then you'll have your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of your D. And finally, you'll have your pinky finger right under there on the 3rd fret of your G string. Then we get to an A major chord. The A major will be played by putting your first finger on the 2nd fret of your D string, your middle finger right under that on the 2nd fret of your G, And finally, your ring finger on the 2nd fret of your B string. That is an A major chord. The B flat and the A each have just 2 strums apiece. So far we have Then the last 3 chords are really easy as we've already learned them. We play the D minor 4 times, then back to the B flat twice, and to A twice again. So the whole thing all together. And that happens twice for the verse. Now we only have one other section of the song to learn, and that would be the chorus. The chorus, interestingly enough, starts with a D major chord. Key change! You will play a D major chord by putting your index finger on the 2nd fret of your G string, your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of your B string, and your middle finger on the 2nd fret of your high E. It should sound like this. The next chord we have is an F sharp minor chord. This might be the hardest chord in the song to learn, but don't fret. I believe in you and I think you can definitely do this. First step is to bar the entire 2nd fret with your index finger. Then what you will do is put your ring finger on the 4th fret of your A string, and your pinky will be right under that on the 4th fret of your D. That is an F sharp minor chord. Now just make sure that none of the strings are muted. Now I do want you to learn how to play the F sharp minor chord correctly, as I think it's very important, but I will provide you with an easier option. You can substitute a D major 7 in its place. A D major 7 is like an A major chord. Just move down a string. Just don't play the open D string in this case, because it's not a part of the F sharp minor chord we're trying to emulate. The 3rd chord we have is a G major chord. You will play this by putting your middle finger on the 3rd fret of your low E string. Your 1st finger will be on the 2nd fret of your A. Then way down here we have our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of our B string. And finally our pinky finger on the 3rd fret of our high E string. This is a G major chord. And finally, we have an A major chord, which we already learned. So that is the first time through the chord progression. We do D, F sharp minor, G to A. The second time though, it changes, but only slightly. At the end, you cut the duration of the A major chord in half, and for the second half, you play the B flat to A, like from the verse. But you'll play it so that you hit the B flat twice, and you play the A once. Now let's talk strumming pattern for the rest of the chorus. It's a fairly common strumming pattern. It will go down, down, up, down, up. And that happens twice for every chord, but of course, the last A major. Let me reiterate that. Down, down, up, down, up. Let's play the chorus together slowly. Faster now. And that is the song Choke by I Don't Know How But They Found Me. If you have a song request, please comment or DM me. To be notified of future videos, hit the bell. I sincerely hope that you are well. Please hit that like button blue. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe too. I hope this video has been a blessing. You've been watching Logan's Lessons.